So it's just my luck, right, that I go on vacation and then the biggest story in modern American politics transpires while I'm away. It's no big deal. I've done some videos. Go through my feed, you'll see them. I have some additional thoughts as well that I wanted to share with you. When I did my first two videos on Sunday, it was still unclear what was going to transpire next. He endorsed his Vice President Kamala Harris immediately, but would that result in other Democrats falling behind her? That was the question. My intuition was that it probably was, but I wasn't sure. But what happened? And I ended up going to sleep quite late. I'm in Greece, if you didn't know, at the moment. What happened was a cascade of Democrats falling in behind her. First, you had close Biden allies, Elizabeth Warren, James Clyburn, the Congressional Black Caucus, Congressional Progressives. They immediately began to endorse Kamala Harris, as did some members in the center and center-left of the Democratic Party. Mark Warner and Tim Kaine, the Virginia senators, the Clintons. So kind of a cross-section, ideological cross-section of the Democratic Party came behind Biden to endorse Harris. And then that just opened up the floodgates. Not just members of Congress, but potential rivals for a nomination. Josh Shapiro, Wes Moore, eventually Gretchen Whitmer, Mark Kelly, all began announcing their support for Harris. By Monday, the nomination was essentially sewed up if we're going to judge in terms of endorsements. State parties were announcing their endorsements of Harris, and as we all know, people began pouring in donations. And as of the time I record this video, right now it's about 7 p.m. for me. If you're in the States on the East Coast, it should be about noon. As of now, the Harris campaign has raised something like $100 million and gotten over 58,000 new volunteers. Truly a groundswell of support from Democratic elites, Democratic elected officials, and the Democratic rank and file. Now, I did not just fall out of a coconut tree. I exist in the context of all that came before me. So I'm going to make a case to you that what we just witnessed here was engineered. All last week, there was an unending march of stories, especially after Biden caught COVID. Biden was at his home. He was fuming over this effort to push him out. He was debating with his family whether he should do it. All this kind of drip of stories about the choice Biden's going to make. I don't know anything for certain here. I don't have any inside information here. But my hunch, my intuition, is that Biden actually decided on this pretty early on. As early as the beginning of last week, I'd say. I would say that by the time the RNC got into gear, Biden had probably already decided he was going to drop out. So why didn't he announce it then? A few things to remember. The first is that Biden did not do this willingly. He was reluctantly dropping out. He was being pushed by internal rivals within the Democratic Party, specifically centrist and conservative Democrats and their donor allies who didn't want Biden at the top of the ticket. And they were floating their own candidates, or at the very least they wanted an open convention process that would select someone they hoped was more amenable to their views and maybe could win. In short, they wanted to sideline the entire Biden administration with Biden and Harris and try to run a campaign essentially as if the Biden administration didn't really happen, or at the very least they would claim credit for it without having anyone responsible for it on the ticket. Now, if I'm Biden, and I'm a very proud man, this would enrage me. This would fill me with genuine hatred for these people. Additionally, I would also, as a long-standing, long-serving politician, observe that this is a recipe for losing the election. That creating a chaotic process, or just creating a process where every single resentment and division within the party is going to be amplified, does not set you up well for the fall, especially since the convention is the one moment every 4 years where a party gets a chance to put on its best face for the entire country. You don't want to waste that. So what do I do while I'm convalescing in my home in Delaware? I begin to make phone calls. I've decided I'm going to drop out. I reach out to my allies. I reach out to the Clintons. I persuade them. the best way to go about this is to get behind Harris. I talk to my allies in Congress. I say, I know you guys have been supporting me. I'm going to do this. But if I do this, you guys have to get behind Harris. I go to other members of Congress who have said they wanted me out, and I say to them, I'm going to give you what you want, but you have to give me what I want, and that's to get behind Harris. While your rivals are still going on about open conventions, you are methodically going to every stakeholder who is on your side, every person who owes you a favor, and you're saying to them, I am going to drop out, and you are going to endorse Kamala Harris. And then he does it. And you'll note that the open convention folks were caught completely flat-footed. That includes Obama, whose statement said he hopes that a process is developed that would find a nominee. They were all caught flat-footed. They didn't have someone in their corner ready to go, and Biden did. And the sheer amount of enthusiasm that resulted from all of this essentially obliterated any chance for those rivals to put someone forward. They tried Joe Manchin, and that balloon floated and promptly popped. I know many people think that Biden is cognitively impaired. I don't think that's the case. I think he's just slowed down considerably. But he's still sharp, and he still has a tremendous amount of political knowledge and political skill. I think Biden outmaneuvered his rivals within the Democratic Party. I think he gave them a quote-unquote victory only to yank it out from under their feet. And now they have no choice but to follow essentially his lead, and that is endorse his hand-picked successor. And I also say that in doing this, on announcing this at the end of the Republican National Convention, on the Sunday after it, when probably the peak of good press for the Republicans, Biden stomped all over it. He nullified the impact of the RNC. He essentially said to the press, I'm giving you a bigger story. As for the press, I'll talk more about their reaction later. Some not great reactions from the punditry I want to talk about. But I think as we learn more about the process behind what happened these past couple of days, I think we will learn that this was like a legitimate masterstroke of backroom politics by Joseph Robinette Biden.